All right, aloha everybody, and welcome to the Heat Dream Tribe call. Our connection call takes place every Friday morning, 9 a.m. It is January 17th. Happy snow day here from Southern Oregon. And we are incredibly honored to have the dynamic duo Dan and Joe, who are going to be bringing some awareness around some additional powerful benefits of owning a virtual franchise with the Juice Plus company. And specifically tax benefits. So I've known Dan for a number of years now. We met doing a mindset workshop, and he is just an incredible man. For the past month, I've been doing men's Take Healthy Back calls with he and Uncle Buddha, Chris Cotton. And I tell you, I really enjoy his energy. I really enjoy his dedication and connection with his family. Not only is he an athlete, but he's also got a huge heart. And it's one of the things I really love and admire about you, Dan, is, I know I can reach out to him with any issue, not just taxes, not just Juice Plus, but just life, what it means to be a man. And he can hold that space for me. It's a really beautiful thing. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm going to, Dan, have you take it away, Dan and Joe.
Awesome. My name's Dan Maurer, like he said. My partner is Joe Conti. He's a CPA, been a CPA for almost 20 years now. And specifically focusing on where his niche was in the beginning was as a travel nurse consultant. And that niche actually transitions excellent into our network marketing business because of how much we travel. And what I'm going to go over with you guys today is just like in my call the other day, I'm going to say it's called Fun with Taxes. All right. Because that's what we're going to have. We're going to have fun. And I know Joe's going to get on after and say, taxes are not fun. I have a different viewpoint because I love helping people, and with taxes, if you do it right, and especially with the network marketing business, you can have fun with your own money in doing the best things for yourself. So we're going to go over a few things real quick. I'm going to screen share with you guys a PowerPoint. I know that's old school, all right? And, I'm a former teacher, and I'm telling you right now, sometimes the PowerPoint, you got to have those bullet points. So let me go ahead and screen share with you guys real quick. And as long as everybody can see them, we're good. Can everybody see the screen? All right, awesome. Perfect. So, all right, why a CPA? Okay, and why does CPA that specializes in self-employed business owners? Okay, first of all, you got to understand with most people get is an enrolled agent with doing their taxes. If they go to H&R Block, if they go to, Hewitt, Jackson Hewitt in Walmart or whatever, they're getting mostly an enrolled agent, if not just a tax preparer, and then it might be overseen by somebody that's an enrolled agent later on. What you get with a CPA is somebody who's dedicated themselves to a 4-year degree, okay, in accounting, and have to pass a rigorous professional exam to earn the certification. This exam, guys, it's massive, okay? It's in sections, and it takes a lot of effort to get through all the laws. CPAs have a broader knowledge base of those laws and the procedures that go along with them. And you have somebody who's specializing in self-employed individuals, gives us a broader understanding of tax planning for the business owner. Okay, so just to give you a quick background of why you want a CPA, it's like, would you want to do your own, if you get your check engine light on, do you want to open up your hood, start undoing bolts, or do you want somebody that's a professional that can really look at your finances and give you the best outcome for you and your family? So that's the overview of why you'd want that. Some of the biggest questions we get, okay, and these are the top 5 all the time, and I'm going to throw an extra one in there, but can I deduct the product I buy for myself? Okay, and as you see right there, the answer is yes and no, okay? Can I deduct housing expenses? Yes, to an extent, all right? Can I deduct my travel? Yes. Do I need to be incorporated? No. Next question, though, is should I be incorporated? That really depends on the income you're earning, and you need to understand that it might not outweigh the cost of preparing the taxes, the cost of the self-employment tax to then be self-employed, to get a corporation, just not yet, okay? There are plenty of circumstances where it would be important. Okay, so this is what I want to get into with those questions, okay? Travel per diems. This is the biggest thing, especially with the Juice Plus business, guys, and this network marketing. all of your travel, guys, you got to really think about this, can be deducted to an extent as long as you're doing business, okay? Going to conference, going to boot camps, going to somebody's house to do a presentation, any of the costs associated with that presentation, okay? The cost for the cabs, the cost for Ubers, the cost for food can all be deducted from your expenses. Now, the great thing is that when I talk about travel per diems, because it's such a short time frame that we're talking about, we're not talking about extended, the government also has set per diems per state, per city, okay? And that's more of a private conversation with anybody that's interested. But those are, that could be a big deal in reducing. I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, I had an NMD that came to me, and they owed $10,000 initially right when I looked and plugged their numbers in. We went through their business expenses, and they gave me specifics, and then we went through per diem and figured out what was best for them, ended up getting them a refund of $700, okay? So just so you understand what a professional can do and sometimes the things that you might miss on your taxes, all right? Being self-employed, you have a tax-deferred IRA or 401k contribution can be made. That could help offset the self-employment tax, okay? The cost of samples can be deducted. So here's that big question. Can I deduct what I buy? Well, we all know as Juice Plus representatives, and guys, just so you know, I don't only do taxes with Joe, I am also a distributor with my wife, and I have an integral understanding of this. We all know what we buy, we give away too. So all those portions of things we buy, we can write off. You can't write it all off, okay? I don't care what anybody tells you, you can't write it all off. And I've had people say, well, we can't write any of it off. Well, that isn't true either, okay? Because we know we're giving away samples, okay? It could be a new distributor that we just signed on, right? And that new distributor, all right, we're giving a week to get them started so that they have a good experience, or a new customer. We're giving them maybe a couple days before they get their product. That's where we can get, where we write off those things. Now, we need to know as professionals, how much are you buying and what percentage do you think you're giving away? We know when we buy shakes, we're giving away the shakes, okay? We know when we buy bars, we're giving away the bars, okay? So those are all things that go into this that sometimes CPAs are just like, no, you can't do this. You're buying it, it can't be done, all right? A percent of the household, that other last question, the percent of the household income, all right? This is what people really want to know about. If you have a dedicated spot in your house, okay, where that's, so, it's sometimes hard, right? We live in this, world where we have kids running around. We don't really have that dedicated spot, but we know we have this section that we use every day. We can take that portion, as long as it's dedicated for what you're doing in your business, take that little section, calculate it out, and take that percentage off of all of your expenses, okay? So just having an understanding of that, and that's what we do. That's, hey, we're gonna say, how big is your house? What's the size? We're gonna do the rest of the calculations for you, and we're gonna get, it's not just your mortgage, not just your taxes, but all of your house expenses, guys. So think about it that way, all right? And as you see, the utilities, phone, internet, property taxes, insurance, all of that can be deducted against your business, which then reduces that self-employment tax, which is where really people get hit and don't understand. Being a 1099 employee, you must pay those self-employment taxes, okay, as a Schedule C, all right? One other thing, and I'm putting my, our phone number up here. You can email us, you can call us, we'll answer any questions. We are more than happy to take a look at last year's taxes. If you get into us early right now, guys, it is January, 17th. 10 days, the IRS is opening up to actually process. They are already accepting e-files. People are already getting it to us. So if we don't have a time to take a look at the secondary or last year's, don't fret. Once season's over or we have downtime, we'll be more than happy to take a look. We have 3 years to go back on taxes. If you have something pressing and you're like, look, I think I really messed up, we can find time and make time for you guys. Because of you guys are on the Browns team, we offer anybody that's a new client to us a 20% discount coming to us from you guys from this call. And anybody you get it out to, Michael and Mariah, we're more than happy to do that for you guys to honor that for your team. But the one thing I did want to talk about, I know Mariah was really jazzing about this, is we can hire our kids, okay? And I'm not going to talk in particular about that. That's a specialty with Joe. Joe's going to chime in here a minute. But just understand, you need to be careful when doing it, and that's what Joe's going to explain. So Joe, you want to take this one?
Thank you, Dan. Yes. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us on here. And Mariah and Michael, thanks for letting us jump on it ahead of time. Appreciate that. So just to expand on the point Dan just mentioned about having your children work for you in your business, Dan touched on it. It's something that you can do. It's something that it needs to be done the right way. So, a CPA in general, we try to be pretty conservative and safe. We try to keep our clients, if the rule is 12 inches, we try to keep them on 7 or 8. You don't want to push too much. Some people are comfortable doing that. I'm not. We're not here. We try to protect the long-term interest of our clients and not sacrifice that for a short-term, risky proposition. But that said, you can absolutely pay your children for work they're providing to you and your business. There's no issue with doing that as if it's any other employee. Paying an employee or a contracted employee or anyone is always going to be a tax deduction for your business. If it's something that you were going to pay anyway or pay somebody else to do, or possibly if it's taking day-to-day work off of your plate, then you're able to pay a child or any other person a wage. If it's your child, you have a couple of additional benefits. There's no self-employment taxes. There's things you can avoid that you'd have to pay if you had a W-2 employee. So there is a couple of extra features that are more beneficial to having paid your own child as opposed to an outside employee, if you will. A couple of points about the actual mechanics of it. If you're going to report a deduction for paying your child, you should actually be paying your child. So there should be a bank account and there should be a transaction, whether it's once a month or once a week or every 6 months, some schedule. That's important. There should also be some record of the work being done, a log or some sort of spreadsheet or a list, how many hours, and a reasonable wage should be paid. $100 an hour is not going to work for your 8-year-old. Well, unless he or she is, who knows, superstar. But more along the lines of maybe $10 an hour is something in that range might make sense. To get a $10 an hour employee up to about 10 or 12,000 a year would take 20 to 25 hours of work per week. So it may be difficult to prove, if you needed to, that you had your child working 25 hours a week in your business. So those are some of the warning signs and really just making sure you execute it the right way. But you can definitely do it as long as there's work being done, the wages being paid, and then those monies that the child is receiving can be used to pay whatever it is that you need to pay, things you may have been paying for already. So there's a couple of really nice benefits to do it if it's done correctly, and I wouldn't recommend taking advantage of it. If you have $30,000 in extra profit you want to bury, I wouldn't say you should pay that to your preteen or young teenage child. Could get yourself in some trouble. But in general, that's sort of the framework as we interpret it and as we apply it in practice. So I hope that was helpful for you. If there's any questions on this or really anything else that Dan had mentioned earlier, I'm happy to answer those. And I also wanted to add, Michael, your introduction to Dan, on point. I feel the same way. He's the man. He's great. So that was nice. Well put. I'm not quite that eloquent. I'm a pretty, it's the boring tax guy, but you're on point there. So appreciate that.
Let me just add one point to that, guys, real quick, is that if you're only bringing in 6,000 from Juice Plus or whatever, you're not going to pay your kid 12,000 of your regular income to try to offset these things. And you don't want to try to cheat in this situation. This is legitimate. Your kids are working, they're helping you. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, my kids every single day are doing things, whether they can, complete treats or they're looking at the recipe book and they're doing different things. Totally, you can pay your kids that way. So just remember, it's not trying to getting out of all of your income. You really want to be able to be set exactly what Joe said in tracking it. You can't at the end of the year say, oh, yep, we got an extra 10 grand. We're going to pay our 2 kids $5 grand. Well, we got to track it. Okay. Does that make sense, guys?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm curious to see if anybody on the call has any specific questions. I know while we have these two and our time, your time is limited. I know, Joe and Dan. Is there anybody out there that has any specific questions about their scenario? And I know I do, but I want to first open it up to the team.
Well, why don't you
This
start
is
us?
Denise. I have questions. I have a question.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Dan. So right now I'm traveling. I'm in West Virginia. I'm visiting my aunt and uncle. They are customers. They're both customers. My uncle is an osteopathic doctor. We have every day talked about wellness and nutrition and those kinds of things. When traveling in this kind of way, can I do things like write off my rental car, write off any food that we spend while we're here? What's the extent of what I can do for that?
I think it's a unique situation for probably every trip possibly, or each individual on this call. But in general, just think about if you're there for a business purpose, you can deduct, most of the travel and meals and ground transportation if you're driving or if you're flying airfare. If you're there for a business purpose, you can take those deductions. If you're there also and there's some personal business or personal activities on the side, there might be an allocation you make based on, a determination that we would probably make together as to how much of the time you spend personal versus business. But generally speaking, you can deduct those expenses, if not completely, a significant portion of them.
Great, thank you.
That usually comes down to a conversation that we have that we determine, okay, you went here for this and this is what it was for, just so you understand. Usually that comes down to those kind of conversations. We get more in depth and more in detail with those.
And I can tell you guys, for us last year, Dan did our taxes, and it ended up that rather than itemizing every single thing that we spent on airline and cars and hotels, he just did a per diem rate by geography. So sometimes, once again, working with a professional makes a really big difference, because he obviously was able to maximize our taxes, looking at a few different options and how we could write off our travel.
100%, 100%.
And one of the things that we do is it's a phenomenal opportunity, one, to build our Juice Plus business, but also the moment we start opening our mouths and start talking about Juice Plus, start asking questions, we create these mini presentations. There's a mini presentation that we have on an airplane, in an airport, with a taxi cab driver, with family. When we're going out to dinner, we're talking to the server, things of that nature. Now, it doesn't have to completely run our lives, but here's the thing is we can weave it into our lives. So that way we're not only having an opportunity to transform lives, but also be able to reap the benefits of during tax season. So make sure that.
Awesome. I see what kind of percent for networking events is appropriate. Whatever you spend on the event is appropriate. There's no percentage to the networking event. It's all business, and that goes with it. Whether you're going to Juice Plus, Eric Worre, I know a lot of us go to some Eric Worre events and stuff like that. All of that it goes towards your business. Any kind of coaching that you're doing, any kind of development, books you're buying, just trying to rattle off these things we're thinking of, but anything you're doing to help develop your business is a tax deduction. Just think about that way, okay?
Hey, Dan, I've talked to people who write off, they take one of their grocery bills every month and even write that off, saying that that's supplies for Juice Plus events.
I'm not going to say it. That's yes or no. Should you be looking at more specifically what you're spending for the event? Yes, but if that kind of evens itself out, Joe, I mean, I'm gonna say that's kind of.
It's hard for us, so we don't do a full audit. No tax preparer does. It would take time and money that's just not worth it. So we don't do a full audit of the numbers you're providing us. Our job is to take a look at what you provide us and to make sure it seems reasonable, it appears reasonable, and then, if you start to deduct, a couple thousand a month for meals, we might have questions. But if it's a reasonable number, we'll go with it.
Just to piggyback off of that, guys, do you have a tracking system or an app that you really recommend to small business owners? Or like myself, I'm actually running 2 businesses, and I know Michael and Mariah are there tools that we should be using throughout the year to help make this process easier?
You know, there are a couple of good apps out there. They're pretty inexpensive too. They're pay a monthly service fee, but Expensify is one. That's the one that we have some clients that use, and you know, we recommend that to some people. Basically, if you're using your credit card, your debit card, you're paying bills on the spot, the fees will go, or the expenses will go into the app, and you have a chance to categorize it based on what the purpose was at that moment. So you don't have to always track a receipt. You take a photograph of the receipt, and then it'll log it for you into a pretty organized platform. So that's one of them. There's a few other ones out there. There's a few for mileage as well. Can't think off the top of my head, but there's a few apps out there that track your mileage. You know, once you get in your car, you press the button and it tracks it for you. So those are pretty helpful. They're out there.
They're out there. You can take a look on them. We don't specifically give apps like that we're recommending, because you know, sometimes an app can do whatever it's, you know, you make your decision on what you want to do for an app. My biggest recommendation I've told everybody is calculate your miles January 1st. Take a look at what it is, write it, and then take a look at your miles at the end. And then we take you look at a percentage. How much was for business? You know, how much was running the kids around? You know, how much was just going out? And you kind of take, hey, look, if I do just Juice Plus and I'm traveling 10,000 miles a year, probably I would say 50 to 70% could be for Juice Plus, because you're moving around and you're doing a lot of the stuff. So just take a look at it that way. It's a lot easier than trying to every time you get in the car, okay, I'm going personal. Okay, I'm going, for the other groups that we've dealt with travel nurses, it's a little bit more different because they're in their positions for 3 months at a time. So that's my recommation.
Michael, is that a question about the podcast? Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead.
So the question, is that Michael about podcast purchases? You're asking about those as far as being deductible, or is that what?
Right. Specifically if they're, business related, personal growth and development related, entrepreneurial.
Yeah, definitely. And same goes with audiobooks and any kind of literature or programs to that effect. Definitely.
Cool. Mariah?
Those start to add up. And the mileage piece adds up as well. If you're driving 5,000 miles a year, it's a big tax deduction that you can take that some people don't take.
Guys, a lot of you I know are driving places, especially Oregon to California to Washington to these. I know you guys are doing a lot of driving. Those miles add up very, very quickly and get big, big deductions.
I've got another question around expensing the household. So there's one piece around a percentage of our square footage that's dedicated to running the home business. Then there's this other thing I'm hearing where you can hire your children, and then the house is a benefit to the children, and potentially write off more of the household expenses for that. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I would say you're starting to go towards the end of that ruler more than I'm comfortable doing. So to back it up, one of the big tax myths out there is that a home office is a red flag. And I wouldn't really go that far to say it's a red flag, but if you're allocating too much of your home towards the deduction, that in of itself might become a red flag. So to deduct a majority of your household expenses that would exist whether you're in this business or not becomes an issue that could come back to haunt you. So if your children are working, you might be able to allocate a larger portion of your house and your expenses and your bills as a deduction. But I wouldn't go so far as to do the entire house or even majority of it.
Mariah, also, I was listening to what you had sent me and stuff like that, and I really noticed that what they were talking about were the incomes were pretty up there. It wasn't like somebody who's making 15, 20, 30,000, even $60,000 a year. They were talking 100, 2, 3, $400,000 a year in income. And again, it's just, you don't ever want to be on the radar, and not that these things can't be done, but they need to be done the right way and be done in a way. Yes, can more of the house be taken as a deduction? Yes, but not 50% more, maybe another 10% on top of it. You know what I'm saying? That we allocate towards the kids if you're paying the kids the income. Does that make sense?
Totally. And for those that this is new on our team to be writing off home-based, I mean, we obviously have home offices and we're also hosting events in our home. So reasonably, the living room space, the office space, as much as 30-40% of the square footage is a reasonable amount to write off as home expenses for your business. Is that fair?
Well,
That's
really
a little bit high.
No, so the thing with the living room is if it's exclusively used for business, then you can take if your entire house was exclusively used for business, then sure, you can take the whole thing and defend it, but not often is the living room exclusively used for business purposes. So people probably do this and you probably could get away with it, to be honest with you, but the guidelines and the regs say that you shouldn't do that unless it's exclusively used for business. And and they're going to come to your house and check? Probably not. There's 300 million people here, and they just don't do that. But it's just not the right way to do it. So
it's something to be careful with.
Yeah,
is really what it is. You know, if you want to, this is the thing. We're going to ask you. We're gonna get your exact answers, and we're going to go with that. That's the way we do it. And as long as we feel comfortable with what we're getting, we're going to file with it that way. We're not going to look to push the boundaries and stuff like that, because honestly, we're here to protect you. That's why we're professionals. It's always nice to say, hey, let's get that extra 5% that's going to give me another $200. Is $200 worth now maybe paying a lawyer $5,000-$6,000 to try to fight the IRS on an audit or something like that? Does that make sense? So it's just being within those guidelines. That ruler is a great example. 12 inches, we like to stay within 7, 8, 8.5 maybe. We're here to protect you guys.
Awesome. Anybody else have a burning question or something that we want to pick their brains about? We really honor and value your time, and it's awesome to have you guys on here to have this Q&A session.
Yeah, and if someone has a question that seems maybe more personal or private, they can reach out direct. If they don't, that's fine as well. Whatever you guys want to do, we're here to help.
Sweet. And we'll be sure to post your information on our team chat as well, so that way they can connect you.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? If not, thank you so much for having us, guys. We love you, Michael and Mark. Really appreciate you guys having us on this call.
Lots of love, you guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate everybody.
Go enjoy the sun.
Thank
you.
Bye.
All right. So Dream Tribe, we've got some important information to talk about. So first of all, just how awesome was that they're offering up a 20% discount to the specific Heat Dream Tribe, simply because, we love people. I think that's incredible. That's a huge honor. And
Michael, we're still recording, and I just want our time that usually we finish at 9:30. So
okay. So let me close up then. I'm going to stop.
I had a lot of questions. Sorry about that.